So another Galison 500 piece. Galison is not my favorite brand because their pieces are so standardized. So all Galison pieces are 2 innie and 2 outie, which for me slows me down a lot because I have a lot of trouble then, especially if there's a section that's all the same color, because you can't really shape sort. The other thing about Galison is that their pieces are a little bit glossier and the backs of the pieces are white. Again, not usually a huge deal, but my puzzle table is white. And so when I'm flipping at the beginning of a puzzle, it's really difficult for me with Galison to be able to tell if I've flipped enough pieces to really start pulling. I actually usually only flip about 80% of the pieces, but when I'm doing Galison, sometimes it ends up being, I think I've flipped 80% and I've flipped like 50%. Or worse, if it's a light colored puzzle with white backs on a light table, it's just a mess. So for this one, I decided to start building just kind of what I could see first. So rather than do the border, because the puzzle was a little bit busy, I tried to grab the sort of buildings in the upper right, and then some of the awnings, because the awnings were a very distinctive reddish color. And so I was like, okay, well, I can grab the reds and build them. There are some snack breaks happening here. As you can tell when my hand finishes out of the puzzle, there were also some cat petting breaks. My cat has a chair, it sits next to my puzzle table, and she likes to supervise. And occasionally supervision means I have to stop and pet her, or she will jump on the puzzle to get pets, get attention. So then I've built some of the awnings here, and now I'm starting to build the taxis because I really hate cars. For some reason, cars always trip me up. But they are kind of this bright yellow, and because they just go along the bottom, they're pretty easy to clip into the border and kind of start to build out the puzzle a little bit more. So another cat petting break. So now I've gotten some of the awnings and I'm starting to build the side border, and it's like, oh great, now that I've got the taxis, I've actually gotten quite a bit of this bottom built. And so now I'm starting to frame out the puzzle. I think that probably should have happened sooner. I should have framed it, but I'm starting to say, okay, well now I see more color chunks, and now I've got all these awnings, the pizza, the restaurant, this green one. And so because I have all these awnings, I can start to actually build them in, and I'm going to have the sort of bottom of the puzzle framed out. And once the puzzle is framed out, for me, that's just so much psychologically easier to build the little chunks that are remaining rather than starting from scratch, so to speak. So now I'm starting to fill in above the awnings. So there are all of these buildings, and they're all slightly different colors. So it is possible to see the distinctions in the colors, but it's not easy. And so I was actually glad that I waited. This is called Holiday in New York. It's definitely far uptown because the subway is above ground. But now I've gotten the subway mostly built. I'm starting to fill in on the street, and I'm just starting to fill in pieces. And so this would have been where to shape sort in a normal puzzle. Galison is not really shape sortable, except in times of dire need. There we are.